purchase journal is 45123. 45123. Now, return artwork journal. Return artwork will be on the debit side of the creditor. Return artwork journal, that is the 145. Now, returning one journal must be here. You know, when goods are returned by the customer, it reduces their debt from the seller. And when goods are returned from the goods that you purchased, it reduces your creditor's account as well. Now, check received from the customers. You know, part of the money that is owned, so check was received from it. So it reduces your debtor's account. So you write check received from customers. That is 50,000. Now, cash refund from the supplier overpaid. Now, cash refund is when there is a kind of payment overcast. When you, instead of you supposed to pay 20 naira, you pay 40 naira. So 20 naira will be returned back to you. That's what we call cash refund. So it has to be here, cash refunds. And that is 117. Then 3 questions to go. Cash paid to supplier. That means out of the credit that you make, purchases that you make, you paid it to the supplier. So cash check paid to supplier. That is 30 and 127. Then 2 more questions to go. Debit note issued. Debit note issued. Debit note issued is prepared by the seller. And how much is it? And that is 320. That is 370. Sorry. Then contract settlement. Contract settlement. Don't forget, I told you the other time that anything that has to do with contract is also the same thing as set off. That means somebody is owing you and you are owing that person. Like I said the other time, somebody is owing you 30 and you are owing that person 30. So 30 for 30, you see that you don't have anything to pay each other. So that's what we call set off. So we just write here, set off contract. That is 700. And you know it will affect the two accounts. It will affect the credit side and it also affect the debit side of the creditor's account. Contract, that is 700. Now, credit note issued. Credit note issued. Here, the credit note issued will be on the credit side of the debtor's account. And that is 300, where the debit note received is 65 naira. So, having done this, we see that this is the amount that your customer is owing you, because you are preparing an account on behalf of your customers, which happens to be your debtor. this is the amount that they owe you, and this is the amount they pay. So that's why control account is a kind of adjustment. You want to adjust to know the closing balance at the end of the year. So you add this, you less this from here. If this one is greater than this, then you put balance. If this one is greater than this, that means you have a balance. Then also we add this from this. Of this should be greater than this. If this is greater than this, you have a closing balance, and if this one is greater than this, you have a balance at the end of the day. Now let's go. Closing balance. Now the total of this amounted to 65702. Now, if you add the total of this side is greater than this, that calls for a closing balance. So there is going to be a balance after adding all this. This is a 702. Now, so the differences between this side and this side is 13792. Now, so at the end of the day, this is the closing debtor balance you have at the end of the day. So this is the amount of the debtors, that you have in figures. So you bring it under here that balance BD, which is 13,792. You can also call it or balance BD instead of writing closing balance. But for you to know it very well, that is why I use a closing balance. So this is the amount that your customer owe you at the end of the month. Under here, the total of this, we have 52640. This side is greater than this debit side. So the differences there is 2950. So this is the total creditor that you have. That is the total amount that you are owing your supplier at the end of the day. So you bring it down here, balance BD, which is 795. And let's not forget, don't forget, if you are given a kind of question like this, it must have a heading. And these headings, the question said, Kazim Limited. So you must put it at the top so that they won't reduce your mark. So Kazim Limited, debtors, sales ledger control account. Then also Kazim Limited creditor purchase. So when you are preparing an account, you must make sure you write a heading that also attracts mark at the end of the day. So these are the items you prepare for the debtors and creditors control account. Now, these are the questions for the remaining 4 things which we have done justice to earlier on. And we have a lot of questions that pertains to this theme. Number 1 question says, the accounting concept that assumes that a business will continue operation for an indefinite period is option A, we have business entity, B, going concern, consistency, duality. Then the second question, the accounting concept that states that the firm's financial affairs must be separated from that of the owner private transaction is business entity A, B, going concern, C, consistency, D, duality. Then the third question, the principle of double entry states that every debtor must have a credit A. That the first principle said the principle of double entry bookkeeping states that A, every debtor must have a credit. B, every account debited must be immediately credited. C, for every debit entry there must be corresponding credit entry. And D, for every double debit there must be a double credit. The fourth question says the concept that states that business should not lay claims to any profit before it is earned with reasonable certainty is A. Consistency, B. Prudency concept, C. We have a accrual concept, and D. We have going concern concept. The fifth question says the entries to record goods bought for cash are debit cash account, credit purchase account, B. Purchase account, credit cash account, C. Purchase account, credit stock account, and D. Debit purchase account and credit good account. Then the 6 questions on presented check are checks A. that have been recorded in the cash book but not by bank, B. that have been received by the bank but are not recorded in the cash book, then C. returned by the bank, then D. written but not handed over to customer. Then the 7th question says in the operation of an impress system of petty cash, the petty cash pays all expenses, B. petty cashier pays money to accountant, C. petty cashier regulates begin each period with the same amount of money, D. make cashier account to the petty for some expenses made by him. Then we have the 8th question, which says which of the following enter in a general journal? A. we have purchase of goods, B. we have sale of goods on credit, C. we have return inward, and D. we have acquisition of fixed assets. D said question number 9 said cash receipts and payment involve discount are A. 3-column cash book, 2-column cash book, C. analytical cash book, D. petty cash book. Then the number 10 question says the